Hello, welcome to Human Rights for TPC. I hope you're in the right place. This is a human rights class and my name is Leanne and I will be your teacher. Welcome. So this is our first lesson, so it's an introductory lesson. And today I will talk to you about what you should have already received from me, what the course is about, what you need to do in terms of assessment, and then we'll have a brief introduction to human rights and a small activity for you to do. So you should have received an email from me in the last few days, and in that email you have a link to this channel, this YouTube channel. So in the email you have a link to the MS Team meeting that we will have at the time of your class. A link to the booklets. There are two booklets for you. First booklet is the material for the first few lessons. The second booklet outlines the assessments. If you are Certificate 3, you have a different booklet than the Certificate 4, but the assessments are the same. Okay, so we'll be doing it together. In the email from me, you should have received a link to a YouTube channel. And in that YouTube, you should be on it now if you're listening to this. On this channel, I upload every lesson so that if you miss a lesson, you can come back and you can look and see what we did. Hope that's clear. Okay, so what's the course about? The course is about human rights. Human rights has a very broad definition. We will be talking a lot about contemporary issues. So issues in the news. It does help if you read the newspaper or keep up with the news. We talk about everything from the death penalty to racism to LGBTQI rights to child rights to human slavery and trafficking. We talk about many things. A lot of these subjects are very controversial. So I guess the rules are we argue opinions, we don't argue personalities, and we respect everybody's opinions. And also, I like to say that there are really no definite answers in human rights. So if you're looking for an answer to the meaning of life, which is 42, by the way, if you're looking for an answer to the meaning of life, you will not find it here. And often people leave this course with more questions than answers, but we do a lot of discussion. The first part of the course is about human rights in Australia. So that's what we're doing now. So that's for the first 10 weeks until 13th of September. And the second half of the course is about international human rights, and that we finish that on the 22nd of November. So we have a 2-week break in between the two terms. Okay, what you need to do to pass the course. Okay, for the first part, there are 2 parts of the course. To pass the first half, you have to do 4 portfolio items, which means you have to write 4 things. Now, in your blue book, which is the assessment book, you will see I have outlined 4 pieces for you to do. First one is a reflection. The second one is an opinion piece. The third is a letter to an MP or a newspaper. And the fourth is a Wikipedia entry. Now, altogether you have to have between 800 to 1,000 words, which means it's 200 words each. They're actually really quite short and easy to do, and it's much better to do them as we progress through the course, and I will give you time to do them. Now, in the criteria for your course, it says that you can replace one of these with an artistic piece, so you can write a poem, you can do a drawing. I actually have one lesson where we do an artwork, and you can use that as one of your portfolio items. So that would mean you would need to write 3 and you would have 1 artwork as well, and that would be fine. Okay, the due date is the week of September 6th. Don't worry if that's a bit confusing at the moment. It's quite easy to do. It's not very hard. If you have any questions, and I'm sure lots of people have questions in the early days, you can email me or ring me on the information I gave you earlier. Feel free to do that. That's no problem at all. Give me a couple of days to get back to you because I only work 3 days a week. And sometimes I like to not do any work on my days off. So what are human rights? This is where we start. What are human rights? Well, human rights are the rights we have just for being born human. That's what the United Nations says. It means that just being born a human being means you have certain rights. But, you know, the question sometimes is, why don't we have animal rights as well? Should animals have rights? Should trees have rights? Should the environment have rights? And who decides what rights we should have? It's all very well to say, I'm born a human being, I should have some rights. But what rights should you have? And another question is, of course, are human rights, is the idea of human rights, is it a culturally specific one? Is it one that is common in liberal democracies? And does it apply to other countries and other cultures? So the idea of human rights, although there is a United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, the idea of human rights is not set in stone and it changes through the years. So, for example, the idea that women had rights in the 1940s, the idea of women's rights in the 1940s is very different to what the idea of women's rights are now. Okay, so the idea of human rights changes. It's not fixed. It's not in stone. Oh, look, it's Donald Trump. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to give you an activity to do. And basically, I'm making you the president of your own country. You can be Donald Trump. You might prefer to be Barack Obama. Or Jacinda Ardern might be your type of president. Anyway, whatever type of president you are, congratulations, you've just become president of your country. So what I would like you to do is write down 10 human rights you think your citizens of your country should have. So after you've done that, have a think about the rights you've got and compare them to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Now, there's a copy of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights on pages 13 to 14 in the book. Have a look at those and see how your rights compare to their rights. Read the rights. We call this the UDHR. That is the acronym for it, or the shortcut. The UDHR has been criticised because it favours individual rights over collective rights. It favours the idea of Western democracies about what rights should be. And yeah, it has some criticisms. So when you read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as outlined in the book, think about your criticisms of them and what you might change or what you think they've left out. So for homework, watch the video that's linked in the book on page 16 and answer the questions on page 16 as well. So basically from this lesson you should take home the idea that you should have a knowledge now of what you need to do for the course. And we've just done a brief activity to introduce you to human rights. Because it's the first lesson, we're taking it a bit easy today. Next week, we'll come back and we'll talk about the history of the UDHR and the history of human rights and where we get our human rights from. Until then, try and do the homework, maybe read the paper once a week, and we'll see how we go next week. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Bye.